good morning. It was an unusually hot summer in Vienna, 1896, and the city was suffused with a golden haze as if the sun itself was struggling against the weight of its own light. The heat pressed against the cobblestones, and the heavy air seemed to carry a faint echo of the past, whispering secrets and regrets. Lucas Baumann, a young theology student with dark eyes that always seemed on the verge of deep thought, wandered through the city, the weight of his internal conflict mirroring the oppressive heat. Lucas had grown up in a world of devout religious practice. The cadence of his life had been governed by church bells and sermons, his days marked by prayer and study. But beneath this surface of piety lay a growing disillusionment, an unsettling sense that the spiritual doctrines he once embraced so fervently no longer resonated with the core of his being. He was a promising student, often seen hunched over ancient texts in the dimly lit corners of the university library. There, the smell of old parchment and the occasional rustle of turning pages created a sanctuary where Lucas wrestled with his doubts. The teachings of Nietzsche, which he had come across during a late-night exploration of philosophical works, had begun to disrupt the delicate equilibrium of his faith. The phrase, "God is dead," had struck him like a thunderclap, challenging the very foundation of his beliefs. On that sweltering summer day, Lucas found himself drawn to the quietude of the city's botanical gardens, an oasis of calm amidst the relentless bustle. The gardens were lush with verdant life, a stark contrast to the barren philosophical landscape he had been navigating. He wandered through the paths, his thoughts as tangled as the vines that draped over the trellises. Here, Lucas's mind swirled with reflections on the death of God, not as a literal event, but as a metaphor for the decline of traditional religious values. He realized that his spiritual crisis was not merely about losing faith in a deity, but about confronting the collapse of a whole system of meaning that had once structured his existence. The void left by the death of God was not to be filled with despair, but with the possibility of creating new values and meanings. As he wandered, Lucas encountered an elderly gardener, a figure of serene simplicity who moved with the grace of someone deeply in tune with the natural world. The gardener was carefully tending to a bed of roses, each movement precise and deliberate. Lucas watched in silent contemplation, his thoughts gradually crystallizing into a clear resolve. The old man's presence was a balm for Lucas's troubled mind. He struck up a conversation, and the gardener spoke of the roses not as mere flowers, but as symbols of persistence and growth. Life, the gardener said, is like these roses. It thrives in the face of adversity, and it's up to us to nurture it with our own hands. Inspired by this encounter, Lucas returned to his studies with a new sense of purpose. He began to view his quest not as a struggle against a lost deity, but as an opportunity to forge his own path. He immersed himself in existential philosophy, not to replace his old beliefs with new ones, but to find meaning in his own terms. His writings and lectures started reflecting this personal evolution, embracing a philosophy of self-determined values and authenticity. Lucas left behind the rigid confines of his former faith and ventured into the wider world with a renewed sense of freedom and responsibility. He became an advocate for existential thought, engaging with people from diverse backgrounds to explore and develop personal philosophies that resonated with their own experiences and aspirations. Is there a belief or value that no longer serves you, or that feels outdated? For today, identify one aspect of your life where you might be clinging to outdated beliefs or systems. Challenge yourself to think of one new value or belief you could adopt that aligns more closely with your current understanding of the world. How can you begin to incorporate this new perspective into your daily life?